think we're going to get started here. So, welcome to our celebration, Judith Minty celebration of the Yellow Dog Journal. My name is Marty Acketts, and I'm the Adult Programming Coordinator for Peter White Public Library. You probably all know me, I think. But I really want to welcome you and thank you for showing up here on this we lucked out on the weather, right? This beautiful night here at the Presque Isle Ice Cream Pavilion here in Presque Isle and Marquette, Michigan. For those of you that are joining us via the live stream, we have to thank the Friends of the Peter White Public Library for providing all this wonderful equipment for us to be able to do this. So I'm going to just give you a couple of things that are going to be upcoming here at the library before we get started with the reading. So this week we have a couple things, and I don't have the right sheet, but I can tell you off my memory. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We are doing our docu-cinema for the month, and that is a documentary about competitive Scrabble playing, and it's fantastic. And this is not your grandma's Scrabble game, so if you show up tomorrow night, just be prepared. They're pretty cutthroat in this documentary. And that starts at 7 p.m. And then on Wednesday night, we have a concert in the community room. Kirsten Gustafson and Dave Ziegner are going to be playing, and it should be really, really wonderful. And then we have some concerts coming up. If you can't make tomorrow night for the docu-cinema, we have a matinee of that on Friday at noon as well in the community room. And then upcoming, we have Adam Sawfox with Michael Waite, who's going to be doing a concert. I believe that's next week. Tuesday. Yes, next week, Tuesday. That's the 23rd, right? Yes, on the steps. And then the following week, we have a few upcoming concerts. We have Ramble Tamble, who's going to be doing a concert on the steps. And then on that Tuesday, right before Labor Day, we have, guess what? In preparation for the Blues Fest, we have the Flat Broke Blues Band, who are going to be doing a concert. So we have lots of great stuff coming up. I do have... this one I'm not going to give you, but I do have September's upcoming schedules as well for what's coming up at the library. So I just want to let you know how things are going to go tonight. We are going to read the entire Yellow Dog Journal tonight, okay? And if you have one of these programs, you can follow along with all of the poems. The list of readers is in the back as well, with one emendation. Gail Mahan could not be here tonight, so Janine Rastel is going to be reading Gail Mahan's section of the poem Spring 16 through Spring 20. So what I'm going to ask is that I'm going to introduce the first person, and then hopefully the readers will be able to just follow along and know when you're supposed to be up here, right? And then you can just say your name, and then you can begin reading your section of the poems that you're supposed to be reading. So it'll be hopefully really smooth as we go through the book. And then we're going to have a little intermission. We're going to have an intermission between fall and spring. And I think that's usually called winter. But for winter, we're going to have ice cream that you can go and have, okay, before we get back into the spring section of the book, okay? So anyway, I want to introduce the first person here, my really, really good friend, mentor. I would not be a poet today if it weren't for this woman, really, truly. She took me as a lowly fiction writer and said, I think you're a poet, and convinced me of that. So it's my great, great pleasure and honor to introduce our first reader for the night, Dr. Beverly Mathern.
Thank you, Marty. Hello, everybody. Wow, what a special evening. Go, my daughter, to discover why the gray-brown dog is barking. and the long-eared dog is baying. Bruno 18, Calibala. Marty, I have to lean against this table.
That's fine.
Oh, you want to
You
read?
need to get close to the microphone.
Huh?
You need to get close to the mic, we can't hear you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yellow Dog Journal, Fall. Welcome, bear, be thy coming, honey pod, who now approacheth to our dwelling, freshly scoured to our household, now so charming. This I wished for all my lifetime, all my youth I waited for it. Runo 46, Kalivala. 1. 400 miles into Northland, driving hard like a runaway, each town peeling away the woman's skin, turning me pale and soft, as I had never married, had not been planted 20 years in the suburbs. I come here as my father's child, back down his rutted road, through a cave of sagging timber to the cleaving. Nothing changed. His land, his shack leaning over the riverbank, the yellow dog barking home to Superior. 2. This cabin has not been lived in since August. October now, and rain crawls over trees, roof. It muddies the trail. Bone cold, I light the stove. Damp shrivels into seams of the walls, and all the flies of summer burst alive again. They beat their wings against the windows. They whine and bleat in a confusion of seasons, then cling to shadows on the ceiling. I swing at them with a newspaper, wonder how long I'll last here. Maple leaves dry yellow on my boots. 3. My father's slippers found in a trunk, now mine to wear. Too large, creases in the leather barely touch the flesh. I slide my toes to the end, along the old ridges. His feet clump over linoleum floor, table to dishpan, wood box to stove. Only the scrap of rung by the door muffles his presence. 4. Night comes early in October. I prop up my feet, lean into the old rocker. Rain flows over the roof. Flames from the wood stove spins off walls, ceiling. Circle the amber in my glass. This shack, a hive humming. 5. Last night I drank too much and, almost asleep, thought of old lovers. Decided I would hike 3 miles to a phone in the morning, call a friend, ask him to come north, drive 9 hours into autumn. Today, the sky is clear, the trees on fire. I tie a scarf around my head and walk to the river for water. I hope it works.
Christine, sorry. 6. All day I stay close to the cabin. My axe rings the morning, and half the afternoon I gather kindling, spread the sticks to dry. I'm menstruating and have heard that bears are attracted to women when they bleed. I haven't spoken in 3 days. Have seen nothing bigger than chipmunks and squirrels at the woodpile. It is only beyond the perimeter that black shapes hide, breath steaming, low growls circling their throats. When the branch falls, I swirl to the sound, axe raised. 7. Sitting on the porch. Can't tell if I was dozing or reading. The eye had wandered from words turned inward, so that I only saw it after the chipmunk's scream. The hawk spread its wings so close I might have touched his feathers, and lifted the chipmunk up out of the clearing and made no sound. 8. At first, I think they are dogs trailing bear. I run to the door, that old dream. Copper fur trundling low to my ground, circling, yelping. The bear crashing through brush into my clearing, black coat bristling, eyes burning. But the clearing is empty. I had forgotten about the geese flying south. Now they bark across the sky, great packs, sometimes 60 in formation. Silver wingtips over the yellow dog, flowing in and out like white water. I stand on the porch, dinner fork still in my hand. 9. The stories stay with you, like Sally's about the bear that looked in on her while she was looking out. This cabin has no curtains. What's the point? There are no people here. But tonight fur rises on my neck when the bear bawls for mother, and all I see is an aging woman at my window.
Lisa Bosmo. 10. He left this land in the 30s, left the ants growing old in Ishpeming, 3 sisters without men now, who stir inside the walls of their past. They want to end where they began, in the house of their childhood. He was the oldest brother, the engineer from downstate in Detroit. Had he stayed, he would have been a logger, or maybe burst his lungs in the mine. Summers he'd cast out for a trout, with no time left for visiting women. It was he told me, the yellow dog, made my sleep spin into the woods, to the falls above the clearing, the ore shining gold in the sun. Late nights he'd whisper its bends, my face close to his Finnish guttural, cheeks flushed from his beard's rough stubble. 11. Beavers gone, but their lodge remains, broken in the pond. I walk the edge, sink through twigs and mud, then circle back to path again. The water has no motion, like a dream suspended. Across from me, 2 birch trees spring alive in the reflection. They grow out of clarity. I fall away from the depth of it and wish someone there to catch me, to hold me from the roots. Although I never hear the plane, I catch its jet stream, borne below the birch branches. It lifts clearly off the surface, all the way back to the cabin. I tell myself this happened in water. 12. Thinking how good it is to come up the path from the river, chimney smoke sifting above the trees, to open the cabin door and find myself still there, stirring logs in the stove. 13. Crazy, crazy woman. I've stopped combing my hair. Now I whisper in the cabin and cross myself at dusk. Crazy, crazy woman. Tonight on the porch, I unbutton my shirt, let my breaths swim in the full moon's light. 14. The raven shrieks. His shadow cuts the river west to east when I dip my bucket in the water.
Gideon Achatz. Now at 15. Now a dog has followed me home. I hiked 3 miles north to the nearest neighbor to ask if they'd give me wood. No one home but the beagle puppy. Tomorrow I'll have to walk that damn dog back again. Meanwhile, he keeps me warm, snoring inside my sleeping bag. 16. Gathering wood today. Rotten logs, twigs, fallen branches. One knapsack holds 6 hours of heat. I mutter, hike the long trail back, sweating in the afternoon sun. 17. I miss the beagle. He was spooky, all right. Wouldn't stray more than 50 yards and scared of the dark. But he came at a whistle and curled tight just above my knees in the middle of the night.
E.G. Bradley. This is the dawn I want to fly out of here. I have already emptied the drawer, folded underwear into my pack. I stand in the chill, the half-light, wondering what foolishness made me leave the familiar. Your house is on fire. Your children will burn. All night I slept sitting up. Through my open window I saw trees walking. Black prowlers of the woods whispered warning, knocked in code on the shingles. Bats whirred a wind above my head, and tiny feet gained entry, scratched and squealed along the floor. Wait, it is not finished yet. The sun slouches over the yellowing birch grove. I bend at the wood box, my breath beating in puffs. Soon I will sweep the floor, the mouse droppings left in the dark. 19. When a forest burns, animals gather by water. Now the sun catches leaves in a blossom of fire. In this setting, I doze, and when the crackling comes, I believe in a growling and screeching that snag my breath. At the river, I kneel and cup my hands to drink. Behind me, the bear rattles his throat, rears up, charges. His claws rake my back, and I fall into heat. Rid of sand and water, flames snapping, his breath a weight to bear. I know the bleeding only comes from inside, but far away, my daughter cries out with her own dream of it. 20. Someone has been fishing my hole. I find footprints at the river, 2 of them. A father and son, perhaps? A husband and wife? Lovers? When they come together up the path, I'll be waiting on the porch. Christ. Next, I'll be stringing barbed wire. 21. When the sun falls, oaks pull in their branches, and shadows creep closer to the cabin. I am never alone in these woods. 22. All day, now night, and the sky still clear. I can see parts of a constellation. Perhaps it is Orion raising his sword as leaves open tiny doorways for me. If I were not so afraid in the dark tonight, I would walk to the beaver pond, never looking over my shoulder, just poking down the trail, blind woman with her stick in a world without shadows. I would come to it on this night. And the stars. The stars would gleam first above me, then reflect in the still water. I would look down at the bear, and the dog star in Canis, and see the pond runs deep as the night sky. And know this, tonight, if I had no fear of it.
Beth Roberts, 23. In the dream, the bear is inside the house of my childhood. My mother, a woman poet, my daughter, all push against a bulging door. They are trying to keep the bear in the basement, but I can see his huge, scruffy head, his rubber nose, his black, matted coat through the opening. In the dream, the bear is chasing me through all the rooms of my house. The two of us bounce in great, airy jumps from bed to bed. He is breaking all the furniture. When I run to the outer door and yank it open, his woods sink into a hole. I hesitate, then slam the door, wait for his paws to take me. Awake, sweat gathers in my palms, the moon opens on my ceiling, and my heart beats as if I had been climbing the ravine. The from the bear's throat still echoes in the cabin. It is only draft from the stove as embers cool. When I was a child, I never dreamed I'd have to hold this beast inside. 24. Once, in anger, my mother said no man would marry me if I kept my mean disposition. Now my own daughters scowl and turn their eyes to men, and my husband has a heart big enough to hold a month of tantrums. Still, I come here without them and turn into this crone, this old woman who hobbles on her stick along the riverbank, who mutters deep in her throat and smells of bear, who combs her fingers through her hair and cackles when leaves float down in front of her. It is almost time. There is no one who remembers the child, except perhaps the animals who breathe softly around her. 25. Harsh throat of the falls, 2 bends away, half a mile from my cabin door. Groping down the ravine on a stairway of tree roots, the roar rising, I sink into pines, the pitch smell lifting, the steam rushing down. Woman opens to man, mouth, arms, thighs, soft as petals. She waits for him to enter, the flower of her. I climb out on rock, center of the rapids. White water boiling, wind drowning, a thunder everywhere. Everything stops breathing. Long after he leaves, she holds the wet seed of him, his child, swimming in her darkness. Boulder below, big as a bear, crooked pine on the opposite bank, maple leaf held in the pool. No shadow, but the fall of water, all motion caught blazing in the sun. When my daughter was born, I wept for 3 days. I did not want her to leave the secret place.
Beth Ackett's, 26. Only light in this cabin is inside the stove. Pine knots aged how many months? Years. Part of place, like the trout trapped by falls who fatten and giggle until they flop off the line, until the tiny heave of the fisherman's heart dies. I have captured this wood. Tonight, its spirit swims in flame. Dorsal fin, snagged in a bright river, shivers, glows until eye dissolves before my eyes. Can fire bring us alive then? I rise out of apathy, out of my chair to the stove, burning for wet scales, the quiver of gills. Inside, I know I am already leaving these woods, swimming away from shadows, down the highway, another kind of homing. 27. These trees are past their prime. Over 60 feet tall, lower branches stripped of needles, roots heaved up, bent like arthritic hands. I filled the front of my shirt with pine cones. Later, when I rock on the porch, nodding my head, I will smell the floor of the woods. 28. I tried to bury it, but it's surfaced now. When the dog slept with me, he was my father.
Plastic jugs, booze bottles, old cans, and the rusted carcass of a stove. I am digging a grave 3 feet long. It could hold a child or an animal. My shovel is long-handled. Its blade dirt that clanks against rocks, and my breath catches when I heave them out. This is timberland, never meant to be farmed. In the morning, when I leave these woods, I will fill this hole and cover it over. But tonight, sweating with my own effort, my own animal odor rising, I step away from home, never looking over my shoulder. I roll back on these haunches, and I let the shrill howl rise. It runs out of my mouth like a song.
Thank you, Terry Bachland. Okay, now comes winter. Okay, so we have ice cream over there. We'll take about a 5 to 7 minute intermission, and then we'll start in on the second section. Oh yes, and then we also have broadside posters for sale. This event is also sponsored by the UP Poet Laureate Foundation too. So there's really wonderful artwork over there for purchase. The posters are $10 a piece, and they are a true bargain. There's beautiful stuff, and I'm not saying that just because one of my broadsides is over there. It's really beautiful. So.
I didn't want to turn anything into.
I'll get on that in a minute.
Did you really? You need to be like crowned very
Well, I'm trying to hang in there as best I can, but not what I was, that's for sure. I'm sorry? Yeah, we're gonna camp, and we're gonna camp most of June and then most of the spring. We're back here for a couple months, and I'll be back in June again. For hunting season.
Poetry and music, yeah, without trying to
Oh,
Thank you. I have 2 more. That's great news, because I wanted you to sing the whole thing again. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Pretty darn
Hi, John.
good.
Hey,
That's
there's plenty of these there. Help yourself.
okay.
Field Farm. That's
Yeah, this was like not the first, but maybe the first in Massachusetts CSA. There were some people that founded the school where we taught donated the property.
I also did the farm as a part of
No, they hired the farmers.
No.
They own the property.
You've been sailing a lot and
No, I
Getting
have
out?
not. Just suggested that maybe I think about selling it. You know, and you can add up how much it costs each time you sail, which that's a bad thing. It's dangerous, I know, but unfortunately I could, because I've been out like 6 times.
I'm gonna sign.
Is that John Smolin? Is that?
cap on it.
Yeah. He had, in fact, I sailed his boat one time. He has the same boat that I have. We had the same boat.
You get a choice. He's a family friend. Bill Jean. It's hard to remember these things. You think of a pair of blue jeans.
So
Bill
does he
Jean,
still
Dr.
have
He's
a
actually
connection in
from
the Boston
original
area?
guy. Went down, brilliant guy. He was like, trying to go down.
He said he's going to move
He's a cardiologist.
to Marquette for 6 months. Starting next year.
Starting next year.
Yeah, they do. There are various things they do. They do these like little blades burners,
Yeah.
where they go in laparoscopically, it's not on the heart, and they can burn these. My brother-in-law had it. They can burn little pattern of nerves and get it. Everybody's fine.
No.
Well, Bonnie says I'm
Yeah,
supposed to give her a bite, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah, you're one of them.
How have you been? Yeah?
So, it's kind of a fast, but just, you can't
Oh, that was recently. Yeah, it takes a while. But ask for him. Ask for Bill Jean. He's brilliant. Really good. When did he retire?
I know that. So you know that how long?
I think my brother-in-law was like 6 months ago. He's a family friend.
Well, you might know it's your family friend.
That's what I
He's literally.
No, you can't. You're up here in shows.
Yeah, you
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It was different.
Well, so who's come in?
They.
So I asked the rep.
Very good. I think that Dr. Hasselhoff still does. But they haven't.
How are they? Not too cold.
It was good because they know new stuff. My doctor retired
my endocrinologist, my endocrinologist retired, and I got this like 28-year-old. And she's looking at my stuff, and she's like, "You should try this. This. Really? Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. No beer to Island, right? You know, I don't drink. Yeah. Yeah.
Out and about as much.
Okay. Well, you probably read about the grief part. Grief just comes in, it's in your body and it just lives there. Just screw up.
Hi, how are you?
Sounds Lulu told me and from reading those obituaries to look at like beautiful sounds like well, you know, to be alive together history time there years.
I actually went with my brother, my sister, my sister. Really sad.
Yeah, so Maria,
That's it.
yeah. This is something that you organized.
Yeah, I've been
And also,
Oh, years?
yes, so
Oh, I'm on a low salt. Yeah, you can't eat sodium. No salt of any kind. Yeah, so it's autoimmune. They think. I mean, they don't, the problem is the career side of it. Get into the good, like imaging of it. You can't get as good as study it. And it also has no reach for so it's, you know, fluid in the inner ear. There's no drain for it. It just has to be reabsorbed in the body. And so that fluid is there. It's bad. And the first hint I had of it was, it was in one year. Honey must have been about 7th grade. There's a bunch of her girlfriends who used me for, well, the first one. And into the day, she said, "Dad, come get on a tilt world." And it didn't look so bad. It was like this little teapot thing. 2 seconds in, I thought this is a terrific mistake. And then it wasn't right for about 4 or 5 days. And then maybe 2 or 3 months later, I thought, boy, that's 3 months later, I had this fizzy smell, and I thought, I'm gonna go outside because I don't want to die inside. So I sit on the porch, and I was with her. We were watching Mission Impossible, eating popcorn and salt, shooting all this popcorn and salt, and the room started to go like this and like that. And I thought, I'm gonna go outside and sit in a chair in case I die, so I don't die in front of the kids, and so I don't die inside. And then I went in to see my doctor. My doctor said, all drama aside, dizziness is virtually never a symptom of anything serious. Like dizziness is not. But he said, let's check everything out. My hearing was really low. So he did the whole thing.
Because no, I get paid to do this.
It's an excuse.
So you don't have to work and you still get paid. No.
You're deaf in your ear, you got tenderness, you're dizzy, you got your ears.
Can you feel the warmth of spring approaching? I I feel this warm breeze coming in. The snow is melting. That means that it's time for spring to begin. Wow, that worked. All right, so we're going to get started with the spring section. Let's give all the readers from the fall section a hand. They were so wonderful. Yes. There's plenty of ice cream. There'll probably be ice cream left after we're done. So Janine does not want to bring any of that ice cream home. So please stop by and get some of that ice cream. And also check out those really beautiful broadsides that are for sale. And all the proceeds from the broadsides and all the donations for the ice cream go to the UP Poet Laureate Foundation. So really, really wonderful. So we are going to get started now with the spring section. And our first reader tonight for the spring section is Amanda Bloomer.
Spring. Hail, O moon, who beamest yonder, go ye on your path with blessings. Go ye on your charming journey. Let your crescent now be beauteous. Rest ye joyful in the evening. Bruno 49, Kalevala. 1. No clouds for a week. May, yet this day belongs to summer. I have bolted my house to race north against the woods that lace the light with new leaves. Still here, still here. Snow holds near the bank. The yellow dog runs full at the bend. I sing over bumps and puddles, homing back to the old clearing. 2. Washout. Road sliced in two where the swale met a frozen drain, still water risen from lowland. Oh, glory to feet. I haul books, food and shirts, the last half mile on my back. 3. Dusk. The moon waxing to clarity, trilliums and violets exploding everywhere. Across the river, a million frogs fill their throats with song. 4. I hear it in the river first and step outside. This rain has not climbed my hill yet. Then, tiny pricks on the roof. It begins. Water over water, a perfect time for love, all the creatures hiding under leaves. Alone on the porch, I whisper familiar names to the wind. 5. Mice in the wood box. The fire still warm. They must think I am Gulliver, either dead or asleep. They poke their little heads out. They rattle over newspapers to eye this intruder who writes in their giant bed. Later, in the dark, they will tie me here with fine threads from their nest.
Jonathan Johnson. Something in the attic. All night, a ghost hunts mice above me. I hear them scurry, then squeal. It does no good to rise out of sleep into this cold room. The hunting comes only when I sink into dream again. 7. So cold this morning. My breath puffs in front of me and my fingers ache when I hold the pen. But at least there will be no rain. Today, sun lights the tabletop, runs down to a patch of yellow on my sleeping bag, skims the floor in dusty streaks. 8. Shooting in the distance. 5 shots, then 5 more. Breath catches, eyes jump from the page. This is spring, not hunting season. A time for wildflowers and mating. I'm sure it is only boys at target practice. Still, the doe suspends her hoof. I will not walk that hill to the east today. 9. All winter, my poems were thin and icy. My head filled with other people's words. Those dark months, I lived in the corners of failure. Now, here by the river, the hermit thrush opens his throat. Lines flow over the page. The afternoon sun warms my shoulders, my back in its slow circle. 10. Oh, my friend, I wish you were here with me. This evening I walked upstream where I have never been, planning to go find the source of Bushy Creek, but the woods were thick and I could see many bends above me still. It was not that I was afraid of losing my way or that night would come before I found the spring. It was that there would be no one to share the mystery. How water can bubble out of the earth, then flow into this delicate stream. So instead, I sat among moss and lichen, studied the hill on the opposite bank, then turned back and headed downstream toward the thunder of the falls.
Ronnie Ferguson, 11. Violets in a green glass salt shaker. My face and hands clean from the river. I have set a formal table in these woods. Flowers, silverware and wine, canned beans steaming on my plate. 12. Beaver Lodge begun below where I dip for water. Twigs and leaves bending out from the bank. The river so clear I can see down to where the log holds below the surface. I track him up to the woods, the drag mark of his flat tail. 13. Though nearly midnight, the sky is dawn's, shadows of trees balanced against gray. When I step onto the chill porch to look for her, the moon is there. Nearly full, she forms a cross through the screen, north, south, east, and west, reaching out to mark us all in lunacy, to set us mixing days and nights. 14. Those mice were too bold. They ran right up to my chair across the sink. They peered at me from around paint cans on the shelf. Last night I set the traps, then dreamed I skinned a fox for the Cherokee woman downstate. Today I unlock 2 frozen bodies, look away from their surprised eyes, try to recall that woman half crazed by moonbeams. 15. Monday, Lundi, day of the full moon. The whole world working at jobs in villages, cities, on farms. I have saved the poems of Ryakan for this occasion. Now as he speaks to me from his hermitage, I come to it again. We are all related.
Janine Rastel reading for Gail Mahan. Number 16. This good French bread from the Nagani bakery has lasted almost a week. I tear off a piece, then lather it with butter. I remember she apologized it wasn't a long loaf. No doubt, hearing my downstate accent, she thought I meant to cut it with a knife. How could she know my tongue ached to thank her in the Northland guttural that I would kiss the bread before I ate it. 17. After dinner, near the beaver lodge, I watched an osprey follow the flow downstream, glide, then lift its wings. It floats the path of clouds, upstream, around the next bend. Bats hang in the saplings, waiting for twilight. 18. This water flows, then catches in little eddies, almost trying to run upstream again. Then it hurries on, tugs at the bush next to me, nods the twig at the bed. It plays the same at the falls, only louder, with a certain fury. Here, by my father's sandy beach, the river is surely a contented woman. 19. 20 years ago, with his big Finnish hands, my father planted these yellow dog pines. Now the tallest is twice his height, and I am nearly his age when he put them in the ground. They fan out around the clearing, green in all seasons, their scent light in the breeze from the river, only a few stunted from the hard winters. 20. Where are the jays this spring? Now it is the city robin who is first to call in the morning, last to sleep at night.
Sometimes I think it is the waterfall, but I know it is the wind I hear long before it arrives at my clearing. West, the beech trees are calm as Ojibwe women in their blankets. Then after the sound of it, they begin to sway in quiet pleasure. At last it is here, the smell of rain on the way, the burning left for another season.
I'm Marty Ackitts, but you already know that. 22. Again, frogs courting. First one starts, a violinist trying his bow across the string. Then 2 or 3 more tune up. Then a symphony along the riverbank, out of ponds, and the birds hidden in 1,000 trees. 23. As darkness settles, only trillium blossoms and the bark of birch trees hold the light. 24. After 10, waiting on the porch. First sight, a faint sheen on the opposite bank. White, then yellow creeping up, then gold. The wind swirls now from all directions as the moon lifts over the pines. The night sounds chanting it on.
Full again, oh perfect ball of reflected light, your crossed halos, north, south, east, west. Your brilliance light this page I write Move me to know this loneliness of celebration. Who there in the other world is chanting, praising you? Who hears them, these she wolves, howling and baying as you rise? As I open my mouth now, this shadow singing behind.
You gotta turn this off. John Smolens. I just want to say, this is great to be here with all of you. I looked at my copy of this book yesterday. 22 years ago, on August 14th, 2000, Judith was here reading it at Northern Michigan University, and I think she's still here today. '26. Reading the life of Crazy Horse, then Real Khan's poems, their solitude seems natural to me as I sweep the cabin floor for the last time this spring. 27. Since I have been here, I have killed 2 mice in traps and 1 bat I beat to death in the outhouse. Last night my dreams were colorless. I think I missed the whir of wings, the sound of tiny nails on the floor, fur skimming close to my face. Something gnaws inside my head. It asks forgiveness. 28. 3 ravens screech and squawk their way down river. I remember when their cry terrified me. How once they met me on the road, would barely let me pass, fluttering their wings, strutting back and forth. Now I need no light at night, and walk the trail without a stick, my feathers nearly formed. 29. When I last dreamed the bear, he rose from the earth,
The trees parted in his path, twigs snapping, cracking from his weight, his flesh swaying as he lumbered up the hill. When I last dreamed the bear, he climbed the stairs to my porch, the rough pads of his feet brushed in whispers on the wood, my eyes sliding back into my head when I turned to face him. When I last dreamed the bear, he laid his black head on my thigh, the bear smell rising rank around us, his coat bristling my skin, the great weight of his leaning into me. And though we never spoke, I knew then that he loved me, and so began to stroke his rough back to pull him even closer. And finally, 30, here by this pine or that rock, near these falls, they cupped their palms with water like Ripley's father, fisherman turned doctor, who crooned the words to her. They dipped their daughters in the stream so that we rose enchanted, eyes starry in the forest. No longer theirs, though always theirs, since we fell wet from the mother. Now bound to their place, we come back and back to follow the current. Each time we stand breathless on the edge, in this blend of light and shadow, this river pulsing.
And believe it or not, if you've never read a complete book of poetry, you've just heard a complete book of poetry tonight. And one of the best collections. I've always loved Judith Minty's Yellow Dog Journal, one of my favorites. I want to thank everybody. Literally, I called up friends, sent them emails, and I said, hey, do you want to read? And not a single person turned me down. So I think that's a testament to Judith's work and to everybody's devotion to poetry here. So I want to thank you all. There's plenty of ice cream left if you are still inclined toward winter. And there are also broadsides over there for sale. But thank you all, and have a wonderful, wonderful night.